It's late 2025, and Pyongyang has unveiled its boldest experiment in ideological containment yet. Not a new finger-pointing giant bronze statue or another missile-shaped skyscraper, but something far more volatile, a state-run intranet gaming café. Officially dubbed the Hwasong Computer Entertainment Hall, this facility is essentially North Korea's first PC gaming center. Somewhere flickers with RGB lighting, humming with the sounds of Counter-Strike gunfire and Call of Duty menu music. With neon-lit decor, 300 imported NVIDIA GeForce GPUs, and a library of Western video games, the gaming center is flashy and fully isolated from the internet and reality. For the first time in North Korea's history, the regime isn't banning Western video games, but pirating them, repackaging them, and charging you $2 per hour to play. In this episode, we'll dissect how North Korea, a country with no Wi-Fi, ended up with a glowing gaming hall right in the center of Pyongyang. We'll look at who's allowed in, what they're playing, why Call of Duty is now considered ideologically safe, and how this sanitized arena might just give rise to the North Korean eSports culture. But before we dive in, a quick thanks to the channel members who make our production possible. You help us keep the lights on and grant us internet access. Please consider joining us if you haven't already. Thank you, comrades. Now, let's dig in.
서국에서는 2008년 9월부터 중학교에서 진행하던 컴퓨터와 용어 수업을 서학교 3학년에서부터 하고 있습니다.
To appreciate how extraordinary a Pyongyang PC gaming cafe is, we should consider the reality. For decades, personal computing and online gaming have been virtually non-existent for the average North Korean. Internet access in the country is almost zero for the public. Fewer than 10,000 people can access the global internet at all, meaning over 99.9% of North Koreans are completely cut off from the rest of the world. Instead, the country operates a closed domestic intranet called Kwangmyongmang, offering a handful of censored sites, email service, e-payment wallets, and educational resources, all under the watchful eyes of the supreme leader. In this environment, modern online entertainment was essentially unheard of. So, PC bangs, the ubiquitous internet gaming rooms of South Korea, did not exist above the 38th parallel. Prior to this recent development, computer games in North Korea were limited to either rudimentary domestic creations like Pyongyang Racer or clandestine foreign games smuggled on flash drives. The few games developed inside the kingdom were often propaganda or educational titles with limited appeal. For those with privileges, pirated foreign games have circulated on the black market, but accessing them has always been illegal and dangerous under the state's draconian censorship laws. North Korean youth had never experienced anything like a gaming center until now. Welcome to the third stage of Pyongyang's Hwasong Residential District, a freshly minted showcase zone in the north of the capital, built to house not just people, but an affluent and developed image. Announced at the 2021 8th Party Congress as part of Kim Jong-un's pledge to deliver 50,000 new apartments by 2025, Hwasong is North Korea's version of a model city. Glass facades, manicured boulevards, and amenities reserved for the country's most loyal elite, like national propaganda stars, senior military families, and nuclear specialists. If you are one of those, you will be rewarded with electricity, hot water, and a gaming center. It's in this neighborhood that the Hwasong Computer Entertainment Hall quietly opened. It was first revealed by North Korean state media in August 2025. Photos showed a glowing, high-spec computer center that looked suspiciously like a Seoul PC Bang, minus the internet. It might seem jarringly out of place in a country that spent decades denouncing Western entertainment as spiritual contamination. But as we'll see, this project was not an overnight indulgence, but rather a carefully calibrated move of the regime's evolving strategy to present a modern face and placate its privileged youth.
The first internet cafe in a North Korean new city is being heavily promoted by the media, with even Kim Jong-un attending the opening.
How did a Western-style gaming center become a reality in one of the world's most tightly censored societies? The answer lies in North Korea's shifting domestic policy priorities over the last few years. Kim Jong-un's regime has been walking a fine line between promising material improvements to citizens on one hand and doubling down on ideological control on the other. On the development front, Kim used the 8th Workers' Party Congress to outline a vision of economic and social renewal. A major element was the plan to construct a new residential zone in Pyongyang by 2025, creating modern apartments and amenities for model citizens. This plan was divided into stages. The first 10,000 flats were finished in the Hwasong District in 2022, the next 20,000 in early phases of Hwasong by 2024, and the remaining 20,000 in Hwasong's third and fourth phases. In official rhetoric, providing such modern service facilities is part of radically improving the material and cultural well-being of the people, as Kim Jong-un puts it himself. In April 2025, Kim personally toured the nearly completed third-stage Hwasong amenities and highlighted the new computer gaming center as a proud accomplishment. State media quoted Kim stressing the need to steadily explore and expand new service fields in fresh forms to give people a more modern and consumer-friendly life. In other words, this gaming hall is being marketed internally as evidence that the socialist fun and cutting-edge leisure to its loyal citizens. Yet this seemingly permissive shift comes tightly bound with cultural and ideological constraints. As Kim proudly introduced the gaming cafe, he had simultaneously intensified the war on foreign influence. Late 2020 saw the passage of the Reactionary Ideology and Culture Rejection Law, which criminalizes K-pop, foreign films, slang, and all those non-socialist behaviors from that fake Korea down the south with draconian punishments. In 2023, the regime introduced the Pyongyang Cultural Language Protection Act, doubling down on purging South Korean vocabulary and Western slang from young people's speech. These policies reflect Kim's determination to fight infiltration of capitalist culture, even as the state approves more exposure to the outside world. The gaming cafe itself is a case study in this push-pull dynamic. It exists to make Pyongyang's privileged youth feel they're living in a modern and advanced country, but it's enveloped in rules to ensure that the fun stays firmly within ideological bounds. So, Kim Jong-un's inspection of the Hwasong Gaming Center was not just a photo op, but tied into larger social messaging. During that tour with his lovely daughter, the supreme leader also visited a new car showroom in the district and spoke of increasing private car usage in Pyongyang. They are all parts of a new deal for the powerful. After years of hardship and international sanctions, the leadership is dangling consumer luxuries and entertainment to maintain loyalty. In essence, the party's pitch is, stick with us, and we'll slowly give you some of the goodies the outside world enjoys. And the gaming center is a tangible example of that narrative.
모란봉 악단 공연입니다. This is the music from 모란봉. You know 모란봉 music band.
Interestingly, the Juche idea fails to help the Koreans produce their domestic eSports hardware. North Korea's first gaming cafe is outfitted not with homegrown tech, but with state-of-the-art hardware imported from abroad. Step inside the game hall, and you might think you've entered an upscale LAN center in Seoul or Shanghai, until you notice everyone is wearing the lapel pins with the portrait of the great leader. Rows of high-performance gaming PCs and monitors fill multiple rooms, each station complete with neon-lit keyboards, headsets, and ergonomic chairs. The facility is divided into 3 gaming halls, plus a billiards room, and a snack bar. Each PC station is numbered, and the center reportedly has around 300 gaming desktops in total, supporting 64 players in Battlefield 4 all at once. This makes it a substantial venue even by international standards, easily rivaling the large PC cafes in the south. The hardware setup is impressively modern. Photographs from the facility show Republic of Gamers branded equipment at each station. ROG is a Taiwanese brand known for top-tier gaming PCs and peripherals, hardly something one would expect to find in a country under heavy tech sanctions. Observers were shocked to see NVIDIA GeForce RTX graphics cards installed in these machines, mostly models of RTX 3060 GPUs, which are current-generation graphics units capable of ray tracing and high-fidelity visuals. The gear is enough for gamers to use to play the latest titles, a far cry from the hand-me-down computers many assumed North Koreans might use. Premium gaming monitors with 144Hz refresh rates and even NVIDIA G-Sync support have been spotted since zoomed-in photos show the NVIDIA G-Sync logo sticker on the monitor stands. These monitors supposedly display ultra-smooth graphics without tearing, a feature only needed for serious PC gaming. So, Pyongyang's new gaming hall is not running on clunky knockoffs or 1990s tech. It's the real deal, equipped with gear any hardcore gamer would drool over. Even Dell or other foreign brand displays and Windows operating systems have been noted in use, illustrating the regime's willingness to skirt sanctions to obtain advanced gear for this showcase project.
Unconventional is the core value in the kingdom of games. To subvert, to hybridize, to rebel, to resist collectivism. Y'all, I get it. Can we not? Can we just not? Oh, what the hell? There's 1 DIMM of RAM in here? What the?
But unfortunately, the computers are networked on a local area network only, with no connection to the global internet and no capability for MMORPG play. This closed network design is by intent. While the PCs might run Windows 10 or a modified Red Star OS for interface, they cannot browse any open web. There is no Steam or Epic Games Store to connect to. All game content is stored and managed internally. For customers, the venue functions on a membership card system to play on these closed-circuit gaming consoles. Players log in with their membership card details and can only play multiplayer with others within the hall. That means all the players in your Counter-Strike matches are in the same room with you. It's like a classroom, and you can only compete with your classmates. What an awesome multiplayer experience. Before you visit it, you should know that there are 2 tiers of membership cards. One type allows play at night only, while another grants all-day access. We can infer that the cheaper or more restricted membership might be aimed at students who come in the evenings, whereas high-ranking adults or more paying customers can drop in any time. Pricing is uniformly reported at about $2 per hour of playtime. That might sound cheap abroad, but consider that the estimated average annual income in North Korea is only around $1,200. For $2 an hour, a single gaming session would cost a typical worker several days' wages, making this gaming experience squarely a luxury for the affluent. Indeed, those who frequent the hall are from Pyongyang's upper crust, often college students, researchers, or young professionals connected to elite families in the capital's best neighborhoods. The location in Hwasong is telling. The café is essentially a playground for the privileged youth of North Korea's ruling class. Further, one has to marvel at the logistics behind this high-tech oasis. All this equipment, from LED-lit desktop tower cases to gaming chairs, had to be imported despite international sanctions that nominally ban luxury goods and advanced tech from flowing into Pyongyang. How did RTX 3060 cards and Asus rigs make it through? Likely via China, either unofficially through border trade or quietly allowed by Chinese suppliers, given that many of these parts are manufactured in China or Taiwan. It appears the bamboo curtain of North Korea's isolation has some slits when it comes to pleasing the elite. Think about it. The regime that vilifies American technology and culture has filled its prized machines with American-designed GPUs, Taiwanese motherboards, and Japanese game software, all likely pirated to boot. North Korea likely never paid Microsoft for Windows licenses or Activision for Call of Duty. One can safely assume the entire software library is running on cracked versions, given that legitimate purchasing is impossible without internet or sanctions exemptions. This makes the Hwasong Game Hall possibly the world's fanciest state-backed den of software piracy. To keep these rigs running, Pyongyang's patchy electrical grid also needs to deliver power consistently. The capital typically enjoys far more stable electricity than the provinces, but even so, running hundreds of gaming PCs, as each draws significant wattage with those GPUs, plus air conditioning, is a heavy load. Well, thanks to the UN 2017 sanctions on North Korean coal exports, North Korea's power situation has become much better. Also, the gaming cafe presumably has priority on the grid or backup generators to ensure that the gaming never stops due to a blackout. Sure enough, one can imagine the embarrassment if the screens went dark in the middle of a StarCraft 2 match due to a power outage. Nothing has been reported on outages, suggesting that, at least for this facility, the power is kept reliably on. In summary, the tech specs of North Korea's gaming cafe demonstrate a money-is-no-object approach for the showcase. By importing fancy hardware and defying expectations, the regime has built an arcade that looks and feels on par with any in Asia on the surface. But what truly sets it apart is the tightly controlled selection of games and the rules governing their use, which brings us to the actual game catalog on offer. Walking into the Hwasong Gaming Hall and scrolling through its game menu, you will find the game catalogue reads like a list of blockbuster titles from the 2010s. Despite North Korea's official stance against foreign media, the cafe's computers host about 70 games, mostly well-known Western, Japanese, and South Korean hits. The center's game launcher interface is emblazoned with the Korean title means the Hwasong Computer Entertainment Hall, and it reveals a grid of familiar cover art: Call of Duty, FIFA, Resident Evil, Dota 2, Ace Combat, Battlefield, Medal of Honor, Counter-Strike, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, Crysis. It's a greatest hits list of the very decadent games one would imagine banned, now repurposed as carefully contained entertainment for the new rich. Now, Let's examine some of the titles exclusively selected and approved by the Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. First, we have first-person shooters like Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Black Ops, Medal of Honor, Counter-Strike 2, Battlefield 4, Far Cry 2 and 5, Rainbow Six Siege, and the Crysis series. It's jaw-dropping but true. North Korean youths are gleefully playing shooters in which, very often, the plot centers around American special forces or fighting dictatorial regimes. For instance, Far Cry 5, very visible in the lineup, is about a US county deputy resisting a fanatical cult in Montana. Call of Duty Modern Warfare famously has missions where you play as US Marines or British SAS. Black Ops also goes into Cold War black operations as gamers play the imperialist warriors. That these games are present at all speaks to an attitude of the imperialism roleplay is fine as long as it's offline. And in a closer look, Crysis 2 and 3 are available, but where is the most original and legendary Crysis 1? In North Korea, nothing is missing by accident, but always omitted for ideological purity. That's right, comrade. In Crysis 1, the enemies are North Korean soldiers. As a North Korean, it would be ideologically embarrassing to fight your own nation's army in a video game, wouldn't it? Besides the shooters, there are action-adventure and horror classics like Resident Evil, The Last of Us, and the Dark Pictures anthology. Interestingly, horror games are allowed, perhaps because they're apolitical and the scares can be seen as a type of pure entertainment. Or perhaps they are allowed because they don't glorify the capitalist world. Resident Evil is a series built on the catastrophic failures of a private biotech corporation. The central villain, Umbrella, isn't a government. It's capitalism and privatization that cause the troubles. The Dark Pictures anthology follows a similar logic. Games like Man of Medan and Little Hope aren't about individual heroism. They're about flawed characters, greed, trauma, and the fragility of Western morality, all falling apart under pressure. And then there's The Last of Us, a beautifully rendered, critically acclaimed vision of the American collapse. Militarized quarantine zones, looters, bandits, hunger, disease. No wonder North Korean gamers love it. The Last of Us is textbook confirmation of everything North Korean propaganda has been saying since the start of the Cold War.
그 상대로 모분별한 전쟁 도발 책동을 일삼고 있는 훔쳐버릴 의지가 경유되어 거비쳤습니다. 죄악의 총본살인 미제를 징벌할 최강의 절대병기 그 어떤 원수도 감히.
Also, don't forget the strategy games for the next generation of army marshals. We see Red Alert 3, a popular real-time strategy game from the Command & Conquer series, a game that pits Allied forces against a cartoonishly imperialist Japan and a resurrected Soviet Union armed with Tesla coils and war bears. Though official Red Alert 3 features the communist bloc in a campy, comical way, they surely can create custom mods to add new factions and tweak campaigns. Since the internet is blocked, the game might convince you that North Korea has the most powerful army in the world. And there are Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2, relics of the golden age of real-time strategy. Their main stories are pure fantasy, so no dangers of ideological deviation. Frankly, their gaming mechanism is just awesome. Peasants harvest for the greater good, footmen charge into battle without question, and one omnipotent player directs them all. All of this fits comfortably within the DPRK national worldview. Oh, StarCraft, the crown jewel of South Korea's eSports empire. The fake Korea uses the game as entertainment, but we, the true Korea, use it as preparation. They're training simulations about reaction speed, coordination, discipline, and resource allocation, All of these valuable skills help the next generation of military cadets to play Zerg rushes all the way to Seoul. For team-based eSports, Pyongyang offers the big names, Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Except, of course, there's no online. These titles have been carefully converted into LAN-only Frankensteins, lovingly stitched together with local servers, bots, and innocent hope. Both games are fast-paced, complex, teamwork-heavy arenas where success depends on timing, coordination, and complete trust in your squad. In many ways, Dota is a perfectly socialist game. No hero wins alone, and all decisions are collective, or you could lose under 20 minutes. Counter-Strike is even more meaningful and relevant. One team plays as terrorists, the other as counter-terrorists. The mission: defuse the bomb, eliminate the enemy, and hold the angle. The game leaves no room for individuality and is all about collaborative teamwork. Besides, in essence, it's basic infantry training, just with more flashbangs and slightly better pathfinding. It's a state-approved combat simulation. The Intranet Café appears to curate the games in a central launcher, with a custom menu where users pick a game and it launches directly without needing individual game accounts. The menu interface is in Korean, but the games themselves offer multiple language options, including English and Chinese. All games have been localized according to the Juche idea. What about domestic North Korean games? Interestingly, no homegrown games are featured prominently. Well, there are hidden titles among the 70-plus games, like Defend the Motherland, a homemade first-person shooter, and Pyongyang Racer. But everybody knows that North Korea's gaming industry cannot compete with global products. So rather than force kids to play some clunky propaganda game, the state opted to offer what they really want to play, but in a controlled setting. Of course, some genres are purposefully missing. There's no Grand Theft Auto or any game that glorifies criminality, as that would clash with law and order ideology. There's no explicit adult-only NSFW games. Anything with sexual themes would be a no-no, like Cyberpunk 2077, a game with sexual content, drugs, and anti-authority themes, is definitely not on the menu. Violent games made the cut, but sexual or subversively political games did not. A final yet critical component of the game hall is the local social experience. Since these games are all multiplayer within the hall, it means youths are actually gathering and interacting face-to-face, rather than playing anonymously with strangers on the internet. Remember, it's a cafe, and it's effectively fostering a local gaming community under supervision. Some accounts say it has become quite popular among those who with access. The hall can be crowded, especially after lunch, with many North Korean patrons deeply engaged and showing considerable skill at games like Counter-Strike. As a foreign exchange student, you might be brought there by your North Korean classmate and carry you in a Dota match. Despite the country's isolation, the game hall has effectively allowed a latent gamer culture to surface. In summary, the game catalogue is both expansive and carefully curated according to the Supreme Leader's wonderful taste. It offers a wide variety of popular genres to keep the elite youth entertained, essentially mirroring global gaming trends up to the mid-2000s, with a few newer titles in the mix. This controlled cornucopia reveals the regime's strategy. If you give the youth what they crave within the limits, they have less reason to seek it illegally. Why risk punishment watching a smuggled American action movie when you can legally blast away in Call of Duty at the local arcade under Kim Jong-un's benevolent gaze? It is a containment strategy.
Wait. The Arch of Triumph without the traffic jams of Paris? Did North Korea really copy a landmark from Paris? Hang on. modeled after. It literally is. They copied a fucking French landmark just to be like, yep, we've got one too. No way. Does North Korea have an Eiffel Tower? Oh, it's China.
For all the expensive hardware and exciting games, don't forget that the Hwasong Gaming Center is wrapped in layers of rules and surveillance. The North Korean authorities did not simply open the doors and let gamers run wild. On the contrary, they instituted a detailed code of conduct aimed at ensuring that even in play, people remain ideologically correct and isolated from corrupting influences. Right from the login screen, users are confronted with terms and conditions that lay down the law. First, no exotic usernames or room names. A posted warning clearly states, while conducting entertainment, one must not use exotic usernames and recreation room names that are not in our style. So, you can't give yourself a handle like KimSlayer99 or Soul Sniper, or anything that sounds foreign or subversive. Players presumably must stick to normal Korean names or bland handles that wouldn't raise an eyebrow. If your average South Korean PC bang is filled with colorful aliases, Pyongyang's gaming world likely shows the players' real names or patriotic monikers. The state does not allow the youths to sneak in South Korean slang, cool-sounding English nicknames, or anything from foreign fandoms into their gaming identities. Second, use only approved language in voice chat. If players converse over headsets when coordinating a team match in Counter-Strike, they are ordered to thoroughly use Pyongyang cultural language and not slip in any foreign words or slang. In other words, speak like a proper North Korean. No, roger that. No, nice shot bro. And no, southern accent Korean exclamations either. Even in the heat of gaming, they want you to sound like a North Korean news announcer, not a K-pop star. One can imagine monitors or even AI listening for banned phrases. This is an extension of the language purity campaign. Third, no leaking photos or footage. The hall's management is extremely wary of information and imagery escaping to the outside world. A posted rule states, inside the recreation hall, it is not permitted to take photographs with game scenes in the background, and even minor gaming video materials must not be leaked to the outside. Unless authorized, patrons are banned from taking selfies or photos that show the gaming screens or any part of the interior that reveals games. This is almost comical in hindsight, because the reason we know so much about the place is precisely that some sneaky folks who did take photos and videos and posted them on a platform formerly known as Twitter and its Chinese copycat, Weibo. Those posts went viral globally, thereby directly violating this rule. For ordinary locals, the message is simple. Don't act like a YouTuber or streamer. This is not an environment where you can Twitch stream your gameplay or boast on social media. In fact, the rule essentially acknowledges their fear of uncontrolled exposure. They know that a simple video clip of North Koreans playing Call of Duty could be embarrassing or revealing if it spread. It's quite a contrast to gaming culture elsewhere, where sharing clips and bragging about kill streaks online is part of the fun. In Pyongyang, gaming is a private privilege, not to be flaunted beyond approved circles. Fourth, no inappropriate behavior, smoking, gambling, etc. Very regular rules. Everyone must be a wholesome gamer, nothing more. Fifth, enforcement and punishments. What happens if you break these rules? The warning says violators will face penalties up to prohibition on using game cards, depending on severity. The admin can ban you from the gaming cafe by revoking your gaming membership card. For a privileged Pyongyang youth, being cast out of gamer paradise is probably worse than the death penalty. Lesser infractions might get you a warning or temporary suspension. In a broader sense, if someone really breached trust, they could face bigger trouble. To maintain these rules, one can bet the place is under constant surveillance. There are cameras in every corner. The membership card system itself provides data on who is playing what, when. It wouldn't be surprising if the gaming software is customized to log chat transcripts, or if voice chats are recorded for review if needed. The internal network is a closed loop that the state can monitor extensively. We'll let you play Counter-Strike and chat with your friends, but Big Brother is listening, so behave well. In sum, the censorship strategy in the gaming cafe is a microcosm of North Korea's broader information control policy. Allow a bit of the outside world in, but strictly dictate how people interact with it. Language, identity, and information are all policed. The moment of escapism ends the second you try to break the fourth wall. In this way, the state hopes to harvest the benefits of a satisfied elite youth without sowing the seeds of ideological subversion.
단순히 게임을 이제 많이 하는 거는 이제 누구나 다 할 수 있고 PC방을 다니면서 자신의 재능이나 그런 걸 발견했을 선수도 있고 아무리 실력이 좋아도 이제 프로로서의 마인드가 이제 좋지 않으면은 다른 쪽으로도 문제가 생길 수 있고.
What's next for Pyongyang's peculiar gaming experiment? All signs point to the regime doubling down and taking it to the next level, possibly even into the realm of organized eSports. Kim Jong-un has vowed for more video games for his subjects. It's easy to imagine a bright future when a new eSports arena is built near the Kim Il-sung Square and hosts international events like Counter-Strike Major Championships. In the near future, we may see intranational gaming tournaments engineered as loyalty showcases. Picture university teams or military cadets facing off in Valorant or Dota 2 under portraits of Kim Il-sung, with commentary praising their patriotic spirit. Such competitions would serve as modern mass games of a sort, minus any physical gymnastics. It's a chance to rally young people around controlled, rule-bound contests where loyalty and teamwork carry the day. Don't be surprised if the Korean People's Army itself sponsors a militarized eSports league, turning virtual marksmanship into a matter of national pride. A soldier eSports tournament could have propagandistic flair, perhaps framed as training for future cyber warriors, or simply as proof that North Korea's army excels in every arena, digital or otherwise. Internationally, North Korean eSports will likely remain more symbolic. The regime could someday send a hand-picked team to a friendly international eSports event, not so much to genuinely compete at the highest level, but to wave the flag and claim parity with other nations. Imagine a North Korean Counter-Strike squad appearing at an Asian invitational under strict supervision as a propaganda ploy to say, "Look, we have eSports too, and our players are the most disciplined and formidable." Such a move would fit Pyongyang's playbook, participation as propaganda. Whether or not they win would be secondary to the narrative back home that Juche socialism even triumphs in video games. Yet significant barriers remain before any true international integration. Global eSports requires internet access, constant practice against foreign opponents, and open communication, all anathema to North Korea's closed system. So the likely future of North Korean eSports will unfold mostly in-house, domestic leagues, heavily scripted exhibitions, and maybe invitational matches with a tightly controlled audience. The average North Korean will watch these competitions on state TV or the Kwangmyongmong intranet streams. In short, gaming will become another stage for North Korea's carefully choreographed pageantry. digital gladiators in service of the regime. Besides, if war is politics by other means, then on the Korean peninsula, eSports may be the quietest way two nations have ever tried to prove who's the real Korea. For over 2 decades, South Korea has reigned as the undisputed global capital of competitive gaming. From the early days of StarCraft Brood War, where teenagers with 300 APM and 0 social lives became national icons, to the modern dominance in League of Legends, the South didn't just embrace esports, but institutionalized it. You know what? For a country long obsessed with technological identity and post-war legitimacy, owning the global leaderboard became part of the national brand. North Korea, a country that used to have no part in this video game arms race, now has its golden opportunity. For years, competitive gaming in the DPRK existed only as rumors. Tales of LAN-based Counter-Strike matches in state offices, or black market Dota sessions on cracked laptops powered by car batteries. It wasn't that North Koreans didn't play, but the state didn't recognize their patriotic efforts. But with the emergence of state-sanctioned gaming centers, like the Hwasong Computer Entertainment Hall, something subtle is shifting. The idea of organized local competition is beginning to take shape. As we said, it doesn't take much imagination to see this as the birth of a national esports pipeline. They can prove that even in digital battlefields, the Juche idea always prevails. One day, maybe there won't be tanks or missiles rolling across the DMZ, but a televised StarCraft mirror match, Zerg versus Zerg, Seoul versus Pyongyang, GG, called not with bombs, but with keyboard taps. In that fantasy, Korea's eternal question, who's the true Korea, gets answered not through invasion, but through a perfectly timed Baneling split. And just like that, decades of geopolitics become a best of 5. Trust me, the Hwasong Gaming Hall is just the start. North Korea's newfound support for video games and esports culture is a study in state-sanctioned contradiction. This is a regime that once blasted video games as capitalist spiritual pollution, now proudly installing Call of Duty on its tightly firewalled computers. On the surface, it's a laughable irony. The future guardians of Juche ideology hosting CS competitions in Pyongyang. But beneath the irony lies a cold, strategic calculus. The dictatorship has not softened. It has simply found a new way to harness escapism as a means of control. Containment, indoctrination, appeasement, simulation. These are the real games being played. North Korean officials have managed to turn Western games into a double-edged tool, offering just enough virtual freedom to keep a restless generation obedient, while reinforcing the very structures of authority those games ostensibly rebel against. The young men in Pyongyang's game hall get a taste of modern thrill and competition. They can team up to shoot digital enemies and celebrate their kill streaks. Yet the biggest victory royale is the regime's, keeping its people entertained, monitored, and ideologically on script. In the end, North Korea's embrace of gaming proves that in one of the world's most controlled societies, even playtime is political. In the kingdom, nothing is ever just a game, and even a virtual battlefield ultimately serves a very real regime of the leader.
찬란한 미래 펼치시